praises to the horizon, peace, wealth, and wisdom. It's the wise one here, Mr. Solace here. And today I want to do this video called Death is Man-Made, and it can be removed by man. And so this is a very deep video. I want you guys to tap into your humble states, kind of grasp. Now, in many ancient texts, it is said that man lived very long lives. Of course, in the Bible, you have men living 900, 800, 1,000 years. You also have the Sumerian kings list, and so they have them living thousands of years as well. We have all types of myths and legends of immortals, etc., etc. And so, in most of these texts, it always says that the lifespan of man was shortened after the flood. And so, I want to discuss that with you guys because that's a real thing, meaning the flood and the shortening of the lifespan. Now, I want to give you guys scientific proof in regards to the flood. And I want to give you guys scientific proof to, death being man-made, meaning the physical body dies after 120 years or so. Most people don't ever take a time to ponder on that, but that's quite strange, meaning whether a person's healthy or not. So after 120 years or so, the body will conk out regardless. And so, I want you to grasp, it was instilled in man. But in the beginnings of the world, it was not like this. Meaning, in the beginnings of our world, man's body, lasted 1,000 years, 900, however long, unless he was killed or something. And so this was all man. Now, at some point in time, you can say a brotherhood amongst all of mankind kind of came up with a plan to genetically shorten the lifespan of man. As I said, this is the beginnings of our world. Now, therefore, in them doing that, after the flood, which is something that all worlds go through in their beginnings, it's a biological matter, meaning life is biological, and so this flood always happens. I'll explain shortly. But my point is, you had man living on this planet in its early beginnings of this world, and so a small few out of the many decided to shorten the lifespan of the many, keep themselves with the long lifespan, kind of being gods, you can say, over the rest. Now, of course, the flood will come, and so they know this. And so I want you to grasp, it's not about them changing the men that are there with them, because they're going to die in the flood. But the men to come after the flood, the death is put into their genetics. And so if you're familiar with the Bible, after Noah's generation, meaning after Noah and his children, men die in their hundreds. Abraham, Jacob, all of them die in their hundreds. The long lifespan was over. Mind you, after Noah's generation, this is after the flood. And so you may not believe in the Bible, may not believe in Sumerian kings list. You may be a person that say, I don't believe in nothing. That's cool, but I want to explain it to you scientifically so that you grasp. The flood is a real thing, and so is the death being put into the body. Like I said, it's quite strange that a man will die, whether he's sick or not, in 120 years or so. Now, you guys have to grasp, life is repeating. a reproducing, an organic thing. And so all worlds are bodies. We live in the world, which is a body. And so we have bodies, which are worlds to the smaller level of life within us. And so we're the smaller level of life in this larger body. Now all bodies start the same. They start as egg cells, are pre-worlds. And so they're just missing a sun, which is a sperm cell on that pre-world level. This is any level of life, solar life, galaxy, universe, all the way down to an organism. It always starts that way. Sperm cell getting egg cell. Simple thing to grasp. Now when sperm cell gets egg cell, of course, you get your zygote. Splitting. This is your Adam and Eve, of course. And then you get the many generations of cell to follow. At some point in time, this egg cell, during its development, it reaches what's known as the embryoblast stage. This is where you get your amniotic sac fluid. Of course, you guys know the baby's floating in water. So I'm explaining the beginnings of that part of the biology of an egg cell as it's developing. And so when an egg cell reaches that part, that is your flood in the world. Because as I said, all worlds are bodies. And so they start as egg cells and they develop up. This is why they say the planet's separated. But they really split because bodies expand. They grow. And so as I said, all worlds have a flood story because all worlds are bodies and all worlds go through that amniotic sac stage. This is where the small arc, meaning you have an egg cell. Just imagine an egg cell that consists of billions of cells. And so just imagine 10% of those cells kind of forming an arc shape. When I say arc shape, I mean like a pyramid shape. And then the rest of the cells, the rest of those billions, they become the placenta and the amniotic sac, meaning they get washed away in the amniotic sac waters. And so it's a quite simple thing to grasp. This is your flood in the world. Like I said, it always happens. Smaller levels of life, meaning organisms, cells, all the way to your larger levels of life, solar, galaxy, universe, you will always have the flood. And so even in your body, this happened, meaning this story happened with the cells in your body. The cells were living, you had your first time before the flood, or before the embryoblast stage. After that, the cells in your body, they begin to die faster, or the lifespan was shortened. Meaning, on this outer world, they tell a story of how man lived so long, and then after the flood, the lifespan was shortened. The same story is told in the biology of your body, because all bodies is worlds. So it has to tell the same story. And so in the development of your body, which is a world, before the amniotic sac stage, which is where you get the water filling up in the womb, you know, the flood. Before that, the cell's lifespans was way longer than they were after that. Mind you, before that, they're going through their meiosis, mitosis stages. And so the chromosomes are not fully arranged and developed in the way they are once you get to the neural tube stage, where the body is, you know, developing out. And so when you're going through your meiosis and mitosis stage with the cells inside the egg, the chromosomes are not aligned up as we know them now, but they're going through their transformation. My point of saying that, you have the 16th chromosome. This is where the death domain is, the death molecule. And so this is responsible for all forms of death dealing with the body. This is where you get your necrosis, your apoptosis. This is basically cell suicide, or when cells, you know, kill each other. And so it's responsible for that, as well as the body reaching that time limit before it dies. And so, as I said, this is within the 16th chromosome. Now, scientifically, man can remove it from the 16th chromosome. I'm not saying from us that's living now, but it can be done to a babies to come. Meaning, when men and women are about to have babies, they can have it removed if scientists take a time out to understand what I'm saying now about the 16th chromosome, where that death domain lies. This is real science. You can look this up, but they don't fully understand it. As I said, if that's removed from the chromosomes, meaning we have 23 pairs. In the 16th pair, you have the death domain. If it's removed from the 16th pair, so the babies can live like men of old, meaning men before the flood, literally in our world. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing or bad, but so it can be done scientifically. And I'm sure it will in maybe 100 years or so. Or if someone comes across my path and say, I need to speak with him, maybe faster. But as I said, the death is man-made. The bodies were intentionally made to endure the time of the spirit, the energy within. And so, as I said, man shortened the lifespan of man. And I just explained how it was done after the flood, the outer world or the inner one, that being your body or this larger body that we live in. And so it's a simple thing. Peace, wealth, and wisdom.